Good evening, everyone. This is Dominic Oliva with another one of your YouTube video vlogs. Yes, you are seeing the filters in black and white because, long story short, it is very gloomy outside and I am feeling kind of down today. So I know it's been some time since you've heard from me on YouTube, but I decided to use this opportunity to kind of do this video to reflect on how I've been feeling as of lately. And I'm going to ask that you guys, the very few viewers that do watch this YouTube account or this YouTube channel, I'm going to ask that you bear with me as I'm going to do my best to try to get to the bottom of the message. So again, be aware that there will come a time where I will go off tangent and I will stumble on my speech patterns. It's just a condition that I have, so I'm going to ask that you bear with me. I'm going to try to get to the bottom of the message, but I just need some time to gather and process my thoughts. As I said before, I'm feeling kind of down today. And I've had some time to analyze and to think about what's been going on lately. As of 2020 has been a tough year for most of us, and I've had some time to analyze what's been happening around me. Of course, you realize we've been going through this worldwide pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, and it's been really challenging for most of us Americans because this has impacted the day of our living, the way that we live our lives. It's impacted our economy, so some people are out of jobs right now. It's hindered opportunities, especially opportunities to get out and travel and to meet and greet. So it's been very challenging for us. As well as all the protests that we've been seeing lately on the news. We see a lot of these protests, including the ones with the police brutality and the Black Lives Matter movement that we've been going on for these past couple of months, and all these different things that have been going on at once. Also note, this particular video vlog is going to go into my travel page, and before I break down why, I'm going to digress for a moment, and I'm going to reference off my old YouTube vlog videos that I made on my other accounts, my personal account, which was created back in October of 2008. A video that I made about maybe 2 years ago, almost 2 years, was a video that I did based on living in isolation and living in solitude. And in that particular video, I said that there will come times where situations and people are going to change around us. And it's one of those things that we have to really sit down and assess the people that you surround yourself with. Keeping your company, of course, analyzing the people that you keep in your circle, because not everybody is going to be around you. Not everybody is going to be supportive of what your interests are, and there will come points where people will break down and there are going to be things that are going to be out of our control. So referencing off of that, I do feel this. There was a point during the day where I felt pretty down on myself because not much is going on around me. And it seems like I feel alone at times. It feels like nobody is really reaching out to me. No one is really checking to see how I'm doing. Nobody really wants to associate with somebody like me, who tends to be a very unique but also has a very quirky sense of personality. And I know that there's not many of me out there. I vaguely outpour my energy to everybody else, especially that 25 to 39 category, that age group where I fit in between. It seems like there's so much craziness going on out there, and I pretty much know where people sit with me, and I'm just one of those rare breed or that rare species of people that don't really stand out to the crowd. I'm just one of those people that tend to not really fit in with the rest of the crowd, and these are things that I obviously know, but there are times where I tend to forget at times because I tend to be in those down moments where it seems like the devil or the enemy is trying to place those conjuring thoughts in my mind to make it seem as if I'm not really worthy of love or any respect. It was a rainy day today, and I took myself out for a walk, and there were points where I felt pretty down, because everybody's living their own life, and then you have a single guy like me who's living his life to the best of his ability, trying to make the best of the situation, but it seems like the people outside are more into material goods. You see all these people out in the world, and their priorities are different. My priority is obviously to try to take care of myself and to take care of the ones that are very closest to me and to look out for those in my circle. And I understand that not everybody is meant to fit in my circle, but it's one of those things where you sit down and you assess yourself, and you tend to be in those moments where it seems like nothing is going on around you, nobody wants anything to do with you, or you're just very odd or different, or you don't really make sense. So I don't know where I'm getting at. I guess this is sort of like this rant video, but I know it seems as if I may or may not be going off tangent, but I'm just sort of utilizing this time to analyze my feelings, if that makes sense. Having said all that, I do find myself feeling down and alone at times, as most of you may or may not be aware. So I've been on my own now for quite some time. I've been living on my own for now 4 years, and I'll be 31 years old at the end of the month. So I've been on my own for some time, just managing my basic responsibilities, trying to get to and from work, doing these vlogs on an ongoing basis to try to entertain myself and to build myself up, but to also try to appeal to the target audience, hopefully in my demo, which doesn't always seem to be that case because we all know what people are into, and I don't know who I'm getting at, but at the same time, it's one of those things where I felt myself trying to make use of myself, if that makes sense, to try to make sense of myself and to make sense of what I'm into, to be able to express my talents and to my abilities, and to try to reach a message. So being that responsible adult that I'm striving to be, I'm going to digress for a little bit and tell you a little bit as to why this particular video vlog is going into my travel page. So most of you know, I've been around with my friends, I've been going out to places. We know it's been a rough year because, like I said, with the COVID-19 pandemic, it's been hindering our plans of travel, and it's put people on the shelf for a while. But I've been utilizing this downtime. You've seen all these different videos of me doing the bike vlogs and going on these trips to go sightsee and to visit places. So I've been with my friends now for quite some time. They are my circle. I would consider them my tribe because I've been very close with these people. My best friend, we go back to high school. One of my other friends, and then my youngest friend. My friends are in the 26 to 30 age group, so we do have similar interests, and we also are in the same age range. So we've been going out to places. We haven't been outside. We've been mostly around New York, but we also planned this spontaneous trip. We went out to Pennsylvania, and I believe that's the furthest that we've been to. We haven't been to any other states because, of course, certain states are marked in red. Certain U.S. states are prohibiting travel for those that are living outside of New York State. And my understanding was that the governor had issued anybody that's traveling out west or any of the states that are further from the East Coast, like the tri-states or between Massachusetts all the way going down to Maryland. Anywhere outside of that is mandated 14-day quarantine. So we haven't been going out far. We've been trying to plan it safe because of the whole situation with COVID, and we're trying to be responsible. We're trying to be mindful and respectful of everybody else because we don't want to contract the disease. This is a big deal. It's a very serious issue, and a vaccine has not come out yet. The vaccine is not set to come out for another couple of months. It will be a while, but it is still in phases. I don't watch the news, but I've been trying to keep up to headlines and trying to keep up to date as to what's been going on. So those are just that. Going off tangent for just a little bit, you look at a person like myself and you think to yourself, he doesn't really have it hard as everybody else, that every working American that works over 40 hours a week. But that's really not the case. The truth of the matter is, I do work on a week-to-week basis. As I mentioned in my previous videos, I am an essential worker, and I work at a grocery store. And I do deal with customers. Every now and then, occasionally, I do deal with the entitled Kens and Karens of the world. So just because I don't have it as hard as everybody else, you don't want to invalidate the person's struggles. Just because a person works for 7 hours and the other person works for 5, they're entitled to their feelings. And I feel like that's what this is. I'm entitled to feel how I feel. Just because I don't have it hard as everybody else. Like many people, I do strive to work as hard as I can to maintain myself and to maintain the space around me. And there comes a time where I do feel down. I find myself in moments where it seems like nobody really cares, or I feel like I don't really have a lot of help. I've been depending mostly on myself and having my own access to mobility. I ride a bike. I don't drive a car. I have a license, but I don't drive a car. For this reason, I choose not to be a victim of somebody else's mishap. I'm doing everything in my power to try to protect myself and to protect those around me, but mostly myself. I'm trying to look after myself. I'm trying to look after my well-being and my own mental space. And so here's what I have to show you guys. See this? I ordered this offline. What does that say? Can you read that? You can see that, right? I'll put it closer. This was customized online. I ordered this online, and I guess the reason being because it's kind of sort of like a declaration to myself that in spite of all these things or all these challenges, I'm able to persevere and to overcome. There are moments where I feel myself alone and that I have to do everything by myself. I find myself in those pivotal moments where it seems like I don't really have a whole lot of help, but I guess the reason why I'm doing these kind of videos is to show and to prove to myself and to prove to those in the world that I am somebody that's trying to make use of himself. I am trying to be to have my own access to mobility. I am trying to be more independent, if that makes sense. Overcoming adversity. But also, I am an adult with feelings, and they are validated. My feelings are validated, just like everybody else's feelings are. They're entitled to feel how they feel and to choose how they surround themselves and to how they associate. We're all entitled to our... Now again, some of you may be wondering to yourselves as to why doesn't he have his own access to mobility? Why doesn't he drive a vehicle? And maybe I didn't break down this reason. Maybe I wasn't very thorough as to why I don't drive a vehicle. But I'm going to give my explanation, not that it needs to be done, but just my justification and just my viewpoints of how I feel about driving and being behind the wheel. So you see all these wreckage happening out here today in these roads, and it seems more than ever that people are more desperate and they're rushing to get somewhere. And I don't know where I'm trying to get at. I'm just trying to break down this reasoning. So I've been finding effective ways to save money and to have my own access to mobility. As I mentioned before, I ride a bike which keeps me in shape. I choose to be in shape and to stay healthy, so that's also cost effective. Trying to find ways to save money. You look out here in these streets and you see all these people driving vehicles, and yeah, sure, it's all fun and games until you have down payment and insurance and you have to keep up with it, you have to maintain it, you have to pay, and all these other extra responsibilities that you don't necessarily need. And I go to say all this to say that if your work or a place of living does not require a huge commute, then my suggestion is that it's better to have a bicycle to try to keep in shape. I don't say all of this because, not that I'm against driving, because, you know, I one day hope to hone my driving skills. I have been learning how to drive, and I got my license, but it's based on personal preference. I choose biking over driving because it helps me keep in shape, and basically, you know, being behind the wheel, I choose not to be a victim. I don't want to be a victim of somebody else's wreckage. And look how these people are acting today on the roads, especially in New York State. It seems like we've been having a lot of car wreckages, and it just seems like people are entitled and people are very impatient. So that's sort of kind of my breakdown as to why I don't drive and own a vehicle. And going off of that, I will say that I was very disappointed with how the year turned out. Like I mentioned before in the beginning, 2020 has been a very tough year, not just for myself, but to my friends and those around me and those outside of the United States. It's been a really hard-hitting year for us. And I guess my takeaway from this year, if there's anything that I've learned about people, and especially in 2020, is that sometimes the only person that you have to depend on is yourself. There's not going to be anyone around to always be there to hold your hand or to give you a pat on the back or to console you. Sometimes it's better that you handle things on your own. And I guess this is one of those lessons that I still have to grasp, because there's times that I still find myself wrestling with it, but I know it's for a purpose. I know it that much. I am someone that does go to church, but every now and then my faith does get challenged, and I question why these things happen. And why is all these things? Like, I feel like a victim, but that's really not always the case. Sometimes what we view as punishment is really meant to teach us a lesson. So I guess that's my takeaway from 2020. Sometimes it's better to handle your own business. Sometimes you have nobody to depend on but yourself. Also, to point out, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, when the people that you deem to call your friends or your associates are not really there to help you or to protect you, sometimes you have to find ways to be creative, find ways to be innovative, and to find ways that work for you. That's also my takeaway from 20. That's where I'll leave this video. If you enjoy this content, like I said, I'll try to keep up to date with these videos, and I believe that's all the traveling and all these things that you're seeing for right now. Like I said, I don't know what's in store for us in 2021, but I hope to have more video content and to keep you viewers up to date. And as always, thank you to the few that do take the time out to watch, and I hope to have more of these videos soon.